I just want to thank you for joining us for Celebration of the Sea, which is the opening of the 3rd Blue Vision Summit that includes the 4th Annual Peter Benchley Ocean Award. We just came, some of us, from giving the first Peter Benchley Ocean Award for National Stewardship of the Seas to President Laura Chinchilla of Costa Rica, who just expanded the reserve around the Coco Island area. And of course, Peter Benchley, who is Shark Man, would love that because of the vast schools of hammerheads there. And really, it was a lovely event. The only tragedy is that I've never actually dove the Coco Island, but it's an opportunity that will follow up on Monday. We're going to have Capitol Hill Ocean Day. I hope a lot of you will join us there. Essentially, we feel that before we do the work of trying to get the public seas into the public policy realm, that the first thing is to celebrate what we've got. And since we're 2 hours from the nearest beach and literally in a concrete-covered swamp, we thought we'd find other ways to celebrate through film arts and graphic arts and dance and music and wine and song. So hopefully you'll all join together. I mean, the important thing is that we come to the ocean from caring about the ocean, from being part of this. When we wrote 50 Ways to Save the Ocean, the book, the first thing is go to the beach, because you'll protect the things that you love. And I just ask, hold your hand up, keep it up. How many here surf, body surf? Cool. How many sailors, boaters, or paddlers? Margot, are you here? I don't hear any Yahoo, but Margot's paddling coast. How about do you do marine science or policy? Do you live by the sea? Do you work? Do you make your living from the sea? Given that we're mostly salt water, we come from it on an individual and evolutionary basis. Who here cares? Who here loves the sea, loves the ocean? Perfect. Good. The rest of you in the back can leave now. Basically, we're just, the bottom line is that we get so much from the sea in terms of, recreation, transportation, trade, energy, protein, security, just that sense of awe and wonder of being part of something larger and bluer than we are, that we really have to give something back. I hope that any of you who aren't coming to the summit, Capitol Hill Oceans Day on Monday, will think about joining us to give something back, because we're going to have over 200 people, which will be the largest Ocean Hill Day in history. We think that we can talk, that the importance of being here is we can talk to our elected representatives and make them understand that a healthy ocean is not only essential for survival of life on the planet, but their constituents might actually vote on it. And if we can get that message across, if we can show that there's engagement, it's not too late to turn the tide for ocean policy. Our themes are going to be about restoring the Gulf, about moving forward on the President's ocean policy to do practical solutions, from the bottom up, what we call seaweed, marine grassroots, and many other issues that we're going to cover. We're going to talk about strategy, how we can put things together in ways that work. We're not going to look at pictures of turtles choking on plastic. We're going to talk about how you reduce 100 million tons of single-use plastic produced every year and how you target the things effectively. And we're an emerging movement, so I'm hopeful. I mean, the frustration with all these problems is we know what the solutions are. Many of you here are involved in them. Many of our Peter Benchley Ocean Awards that the winners you'll see and the past winners who are here tonight represent real solutions. We just have to start schooling together more effectively to scale them up from the local solutions to regional, national, global, and of course, we have to celebrate what we're about. So that's what tonight's really about, a celebration. And as I say, we can watch and talk about lots of artistic expressions of being part of this larger saltwater world. Like I say, I mean, our body's 70% salt water, and exactly as salty as it was when we first emerged from the ocean. And so is our planet, although really you talk about habitats, 97% of our living habitat on this planet is salt water, kind of brackish and salty. And for the next 10 years, you're going to get to see a lot of that. We can watch and talk about it through the One World, One Ocean. It's a global initiative that the MacGillivray Freeman Films is launching a major series on IMAX, 3D television, online documentaries, aimed at, they're even more modest than we are, they're aimed at mobilizing 1 billion ocean advocates in the next decade. So why not? That's the sort of thinking we need. You know, we don't know if we're going to turn the tide at this point. We only know that if we don't try, we could lose it. And it's, you know, it's a saltwater world that's too beautiful, fun, and sacred to risk. I'd like to bring Celine up to introduce Halsey. After our program here tonight, we're going to have more films and art and panel of writers and other good stuff out there, including a silent auction and a noisy auction that Jim Toomey, our artist, or cartoonist. Jim, are you here? Not here yet. But stay around until you can start drinking, and then you'll have more opportunities to do fun stuff. Celine, you want to introduce a fabulous kind of ocean music inspiration?
Good evening, everyone. Just want to tell you a little bit of the concept of ocean inspiration. It's actually a tribute to my grandfather, Jacques Cousteau, who would have turned 100 last year. And people all over the world kept telling me stories about my grandfather, whether I was in South America, whether I was in Europe, United States, everywhere I went. When they would hear my last name, somebody would say, "Oh my God, I grew up with your grandfather." So it's a very large family out there. They all grew up with the same person. But each one of them has been inspired in different ways. Some of them have actually become marine biologists, oceanographers. Some of them have learned to scuba dive. And others have used their own skills and their own professions and utilized those as vehicles to become ocean advocates. And what happened for me in all of this is I started taking all of those stories and with my grandfather's anniversary thinking, I want to give a piece of that fact to everybody. And the best tribute that I can give my grandfather is to actually bring together people from all of these different venues and industries into one forum. And I called it Ocean Inspiration because I feel that, and I think you all might agree, that we are all in some way inspired by the ocean. And it really, you know, when somebody says, are you an environmentalist, is that what you do for a living? Being an environmentalist is not a profession, it's a way of life. And you can be anything and be an advocate. So Ocean Inspiration really is about ocean advocacy in all forms. It's about bringing together artists and musicians, dancers, filmmakers, scientists, politicians, and policymakers, and bringing them and giving them all a platform. So Ocean Inspiration started on Wednesday up in New York. We had a big evening celebration and had a wonderful program there. But it was really important for me that people who wouldn't be able to necessarily afford a ticket to come to the entrance be able to still have access to a portion of this program. So I joined forces with the Blue Vision Summit. Rather than creating something separate, I wanted to bring and collaborate my content to this forum where all of you are already here. What you're going to see tonight is a wonderful music performance. Halsey Burgund produced a piece called Ocean Voices, and I first saw it at the California Academy of Science last year. What he did is he recorded voices from around the world answering ocean-related questions, and used those voices as his script and as his inspiration. And he composed a beautiful piece of music with that. And with that, brought his talent and people's voices from around the world together in a very unified and collaborative way. So the next half hour is really about what this piece is. It's really about unifying the global idea of what being an ocean advocate is. So it's art, it's dance, it's music, it's science, it's politics, all of the above. We can all fight this fight together. So please welcome Halsey and his wonderful musicians here on stage.
All land, no different continent. From space, it would not look blue.
There wouldn't be living things.
No water to drink for the fish. Or maybe no fish.
Very hard.
not as much animals, and yeah, very hard.
I think the world would be kind of like dry and like empty, not as like big, more flat and dirt and stuff, not as healthy and green.
So I don't think maybe there'd be much like chance of surviving that long.
Sad, dry, and boring.
Probably pretty unhealthy.
Well, I think we'd probably starve because we need water to live, and I wouldn't think there would be any life on Earth because nothing can live without water.
Less water, more countries needing help because so many people can rely on their livestock and the ocean's lives.
In fact, without an ocean, our Earth wouldn't even be here. It would be somewhere else in another galaxy. The animals in the ocean wouldn't be able to survive because they would have nowhere to live and no food. In fact, Earth would probably be a meteor passing by.
So dry and yellow and chalky.
We would all die. Pretty much nothing.
Everyone would die and it would be awesome.
It would be awesome.
Because then the little things, the little bugs that get squashed on can live.
No french fries with salt. No water. No seafood. No jobs.
Is a world without peace.
I like the ocean, I'd rather stick with it.
How can we live without it? I mean, really.
I like the ocean, I'd rather stick with it.
How can we live without it? Half the world isn't there.
They say all life came from the ocean, so we might not exist without the ocean. So a world without oceans would be a world without us. And I like us.
The ocean, I'd rather stick with it.
How can we live without it? I mean, really.
I like the ocean, I'd rather stick with it.
How can we live without it? I mean, really.
Also, it would make transportation very difficult, and the Earth wouldn't be quite as pretty from outer space.
I think that would work, because without being that involved in it, I assume it might not even exist, and that would just be weird.
That'd be a pretty sad world.
It would truly be a piece of my childhood missing. Every school year, you count down the days to that first real summer day where you can go with your friends or your family and
we wouldn't have like turtles and sharks. Well, I wouldn't mind not having sharks.
I would. I see a world without oceans as a place without having depth. Land extends on forever, but the ocean expresses a deep unknowing. There's just, you go in and you can just keep going.
I know very well what a world without oceans is like. I was born and raised in Madrid, right in the center of the Iberian Peninsula, surrounded by ocean, yet deprived of it. I grew up in a world with no beach, no harbor, no lighthouses, and the ocean existed only in the realm of my dreams, as a place full of mystery and fun, uncharted, teeming with perilous sea monsters, unharbored sunken civilizations. It was the ocean of Jules Verne, of Emilio Salgari, of Pio Baroja, and of many books of discovery and conquest of the Americas that I read voraciously. But then, every summer, my parents would take me and my sister on vacation to the ocean. the tension and the anticipation as our car drove on the winding road, knowing that at any moment a turn of the road could reveal the majestic immensity of the great blue. El mar, the ocean, I would cry and stick my head out the window and take in the briny air and relish in my good fortune. For 2 weeks I will inhabit a world with oceans and be the king of the seas and build my castle in the sand, chase little fish, play with the waves, and be as close to happiness as a person can be.
Rain from the sky, or like tears from people. Tears from people.
When the land is all water, and then volcanic eruptions formed the land.
Cataclysmic events in the formation of the planet, and in, I guess, the early periods of the planet where there was an ice age, and then the great oceans were formed by the melting of the ice, and the oceans came and went and came and went, and then finally, we're in this current period.
A giant, even vaster, big blue, but also boiling water and extreme tides and just this immense activity.
I think the ocean came
from the source, from the elements, from the cosmic energy. The ocean comes from nothing, and it comes from everything.
I'm not really sure. It seems like it's always been here since the world was created, but there's probably a lot of science behind it, and all tectonic plates and stuff like that, but I'm no scientist.
I'm not sure. I think the ocean's it was just there right when the Earth had come, and I think it might have been maybe like the steam of like the volcanoes from the early times, or...
I think that there was, the first thing that there's the whole world was ocean, but then it froze, some of it froze over and it became smaller and land came up.
All the water accumulating, I guess, or maybe like getting bigger.
I love the idea of primordial soup.
I think the ocean came from a big puddle that it kept raining and raining and raining and raining and raining, and all of it kept going down, and it didn't have time to evaporate, so it kept making a big ocean.
Puddles over there?
From like rivers and streams and stuff.
I don't know, they all are together, that's what I...
From Antarctica, the melting icebergs and glaciers.
The oceans came from the center of the Earth.
I think it came from the core of the Earth.
Water and holes.
Maybe it like came from underground. I think a long time ago people dug like holes and stuff, like giant holes, and then like it rained and it made like an ocean, like a lot of water, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's how like an ocean started.
Rainwater that fell down and into a bowl, basically.
There might have been a big hole and water.
I think it's partly the same as what he said, but I think it was a lot smaller, and then when it rained, it became bigger.
I think the oceans came from the sky. Maybe the water cycle is completely or something, and it's going to a warm and it evaporate or something.
Each continent is formed by a turtle. Each continent is formed by a turtle, which is just like not eligible.
to say that ocean has always been on Earth since since it was created, I guess. I mean, there's
created the first organisms, the first microorganisms that ended up being the spark of life on Earth.
Heat and gases from the beginning of this planet was mostly volcanic action and activity, and spewing heat into the air and causing condensation that rained down, collecting over probably a few billion years into the planet that we know it is today.
I think when the Earth formed in the first place, there was already oxygen and hydrogen formed to make water. And so oxygen and hydrogen is very old. That comes from the very early parts of the universe. When protons first formed, they captured electrons to make hydrogen. But to get oxygen, you actually need some processing.
Maybe like the creation of Earth had something to do with it.
And when that clumped together to form the first stars, and these stars, you get nuclear reactions because the densities are so high, and those nuclear reactions process hydrogen and helium into heavier elements, and that's where oxygen was formed.
The ocean came from
I don't actually know how the Earth ended up with the amount of water that it has. Not all planets have a lot of water, but luckily it did. And so now we have water, and we definitely need it.
Once I was in the ocean in Samoa, off at the coast of American Samoa, with a family that lived there, and they regularly went out spearfishing, and this was like their weekend thing. The whole family would do this. They had and go on some wild boars, and it was really awesome. And we were just in the water all day long, and the guy would eat the fish cheeks when they'd catch the fish, because apparently that was a real delicacy. And offered it to me, and it was really good. So I'm in the water, and it's just beautiful. I mean, just jaw-droppingly beautiful. The temperature of the water is like a tepid bath. It's just so warm and so lovely. And then the sun started to go down, and I got a little afraid. Like, I haven't really been in the ocean in the dark. And they were not ready to stop. Stuff that he has to do. And the boat was somewhere nearby, but not that close. And I was by myself in this huge ocean. And as the sun went down and it got dark, I was just there with my fear, just surrounded by water. And I looked down, and suddenly I saw that the squid, which we had been watching earlier, they were bioluminescent. And they were jetting, little tiny squid, jetting across the surface of the water, which is maybe about 15 feet down or so. And then some of the organisms that live right on the surface of the ocean floor, they glow. They glow in the dark. And it was the most exhilarating and just like effervescent kind of joy that I had. And it was as if that all that sparkling beauty was just like there for me, dazzling me.
I like the ocean when it's raining and it's warm, because you can't tell the difference between the rain and the ocean.
It's cold water against your body, and going under the water and the waves slashing over you, and swimming in the cold breeze.
It feels like you are a tiny little speck of nothing in this huge...
It was mysterious because it went so far.
Go on forever. They take up the majority of our Earth.
I go to the ocean to feel as if I can find something deeper.
How many other people...
It was mysterious because it went so far.
In that water while you are, like, just in the water, you see...
But you also feel
tiny little microscopic algae and little creatures, and then there's...
it's vast. I can imagine, like, if you're on a boat in the ocean, it's just kind of just out there, sort of almost like an unknown.
Unimaginable amount of people.
It was mysterious because it went so far.
And realizing the ocean is so huge
amazing force that we don't really understand a lot about. I think it's really cool.
Being in the ocean feels like being hugged by someone very wet and very cold, and maybe like someone who hugs too much and too long, and then when you get out of the ocean, it feels like they're still trying to pull you back in.
When it's cold, it's really cold. It feels like you're being stabbed by thousands of little needles.
I feel totally held and nourished. I can relax and let go and float and allow myself to be supported.
Once you're under the water, you fly.
Where I feel completely embraced, protected, and known, like the very first person maybe in the world ever.
When you go out in the deep water, you almost feel weightless, and you sometimes feel really scared because you can't see what's below you.
And I feel weightless. And I love to lie on my back and look at the sky and paddle around in this weightless, almost like air that I can float in.
The wavy motion of the ocean. If I want to know what it feels like to be in the ocean, I just have to close my ears shut. And it feels like I'm floating in the ocean. And there's a low, kind of throbbing noise. And it also feels like being in the womb.
Still, it feels like a different kind of freedom.
Sparkly.
It's like floating in infinity and entering another world. To still feel that movement, to feel the up and down of the water hours and hours and hours after you've left the ocean.
Sometimes I can feel its vivid moods, often very gentle, but sometimes very mischievous, boisterous. Feels like it speaks to us, gushing with excitement, while mostly whispers through its veins.
It feels refreshing and you're always happy in the ocean, and
I always want to be near the coast, and I like the feeling that I'm at the end of I'm at the edge.
I think the ocean feels like a cool mistiness. I love going to the beach and just letting the waves roll off my body, and as I dive in, just roll down my back. I feel like I'm part of nature. When that happens, I feel like I'm more human, relaxed, amazing. I'm missing it right now. I miss the ocean. I wish I lived in the ocean.
For me, that's where it all comes together, on the ocean, or in it. That's where things are clear.
When I body surf, I feel like I'm a surfboard.
Feels like a close blanket.
Squishy, soft.
The ocean's like sort of never like the same from day to day. It's like I love falling to sleep in the sound of the waves. It's so soothing. It's the natural lullaby for the world.
You feel like you are engulfed in a whole different world, a place where it can be magical.
Big waves are really fun when they roll under the boat and really lift you up. And big waves.
Right when you catch the top of the wave and you can ride it all the way into the shore, that's one of the best feelings in the world.
When you're in the water, you can either fight it or go with its flow.
Every time I go into the ocean, every time I go into the ocean,
The experience is
every
different.
time I go into the ocean.
And all of that exists with our relationship with the ocean.
It is almost like receiving an opportunity to create a balance in my life. That I can enter the water and dissolve the stress of the day, or I can enter the water and have a new adventure. Go into the ocean, but each time is a different journey, and that journey is very personal. There's always something going on underneath the waves. It can sometimes be an escape from what happens above the water, and is an ideal place for reflection underneath the waves. It is a sensation of freedom.
Being enveloped by water brings a sense of connecting directly with the essence. That breathes life. A feeling of becoming one with the planet.
Encompassed by the water. And
having a chance to dive into actually being immersed in the ocean is such a privilege.
Whenever I'm in the ocean, I always have this feeling of being in the body of a huge goddess, really beautiful.
But I tend to think of it as giant systems like that, not just we're 100 miles from the ocean and it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with me, everything to do with everything.
Exciting, invigorating, and it's a chance to pretend to be something else. A penguin, sea lion, sea starfish, a shark, a piece of plankton, a jellyfish, anything at all you like. Swooping, gliding, splashing, leaping, great. The ocean is there, so many different ways that make up what we are.
So I just sat there and watched them for a few seconds playing and swimming around each other, and then all of a sudden all three dolphins went underwater and took off towards the shore to go into even shallower water. And the last thing I saw of them was all three of them were body surfing a wave in towards the shore, and I could see these little trails coming off kind of like a little wake behind them that they were running to the surface.
And it made me feel like I was part of the ocean and part of the school of fish.
It's just really amazing to me to think this great big, wonderful creature would have any curiosity about, this, tub full of tourists. But
and just be able to see out in the ocean in all directions, and just imagining like the whales and the fish and the life down below me all through everywhere.
And if you're very careful, not moving too quickly, like gentle, many animals and fishes will come right up.
But I mean, there's underground, like, aquifers and things that are not connected to the ocean. But
at one point, that water was probably in the ocean.
Yeah, maybe, huh?
Because then it rains down.
Yeah, I wonder how it works. Yeah, I mean, I guess all water is interconnected, right? Somehow, because of the way water is moved.
Any day away from the ocean is like a small death. Any day I spend, any day I live.
Any suffering that we can find in the ocean, we also think about being careful because there's so little creatures there living in.
We need it to bring us hope and life.
Coming out of the ocean to be free. The water cleanses your soul and opens up.
we've done lots of cool stuff in the water together. So the ocean brings people together.
One with all of the things that live in the ocean, and completely and utterly in the moment, present and alive.
Sometimes just some people, the way it's
like you're not all human all the time.
I just am able to open up and be who I want to be, because
I love being in the ocean. It's like having your mother creating you an environment and moving you back and forth, and it's a completely different experience when you get out of the ocean. You're not really playing everybody on the earth.
It's the ocean, like, it's not going to judge you or anybody. Being in the ocean, you can love playing, express yourself.
It's more about a feeling. To me, that just that feeling's home.
Ocean is the heart of the planet. Ocean goes with tides, makes me feel happy all the time. When I see pollution, I feel sad. Ocean is part of my history, of the history of my family. Ocean nurtures life all around. It gives climate, winds. We play with the ocean. Its colors are part of my soul and the soul of me. Ocean is silence, and at the same time it's music. Ocean is a mirror of life. Comes and goes. It grows